This is a PowerPoint presentation that was prepared by two of the former Go advisors, Mr. Calloway, who teaches in the nursing school, and Dr. Garrett, who teaches mathematics. Its title is Tips for Finding Success at JSU, and I think it has quite a bit of good information for us to think about. Mark Victor Hansen said, "Success is deciding from the start what end result you want and creating the circumstances to realize that result." I think we all would agree that the goal for STU 101 and your goal for this first semester is to have a successful start at the university. I hope that this course will help you to be a successful student, and I hope that you will allow me to support you any way that I can during your first semester. It's all about you, and it's all about who you know as well. One of the first things you need to do is get to know your professors, and don't wait until you need their help. It's really an important thing to learn their names from the very beginning. I can't tell you how many times I've had students who've come down the hall looking for a professor, and I've asked them, "What is your teacher's name?" And they would say, "Oh, I don't know, but he's an older guy who wears glasses." Now, in the English department, that describes almost every gentleman who teaches English. So it's very important to know the name of those teachers and to call them by name. Know the title of your teacher as well. Is he or she a doctor or Mr. or Ms.? And if you don't know, it never hurts to call them doctor, but it may hurt not to, so be sure that you know what is appropriate. Get to know your academic advisor as well. We're going to talk about who your academic advisor is over the next week or so and how you find out more about that academic advisor. This will be a good resource for you as far as your academic issues and conflicts. Get to know your roommate, your resident assistant, and others in your residence hall if you're living on campus. And if you aren't living on campus, get to know your classmates and the other people that you see from day to day. Either way, it's a great idea on that first day of class to get to know the names of 2 or 3 classmates and exchange telephone numbers or email addresses with them so that if you have to miss a class or they have to miss a class, you can contact one another. Or if you need to study with someone or clarification on something, it's always a good idea to know someone. You also may discover that the people you're in classes with this semester will become your lifelong friends. So get to go know the names of these folks right away. Success is where preparation and opportunity meet. Bobby Unser said that. I'm sure you probably know who that is. And it is important to know that you have opportunities now to be successful as a college student. But being successful always requires your effort and your preparation. In the classroom, follow these little rules. First of all, go to class. It's very important that you go to each and every class meeting. Now, I know that occasionally there may be a circumstance that requires you to miss a class. You may become quite ill. You may have some sort of automobile difficulty. But most of the time, students don't have those issues. So if you don't have a real reason to miss a class, go to class and go to class on time. If you're in class, you have a better opportunity of absorbing the material, of learning what the teacher wants you to learn. Hearing it, seeing it happen, thinking about it in a face-to-face situation will help you to absorb that material. It's also very important when you're in class to participate. Ask questions, raise your hand, answer questions if the teacher poses questions. If you're put in groups, join in the conversation. Collaborate with your classmates. Connect with the other students in your class. As I mentioned before, this will become your network of friends, and they're also a great resource for you if you have to miss class. And work hard to make good grades in these classes. These are earned in college, and they don't come easily. There are not many easy A's in college. There are not many classes where you just go in and sit there and don't participate and make a good grade. So set goals for yourself from the beginning. The very best goal you can set for yourself this first semester is to make all A's. That will ensure that your GPA starts out high. Set goals for yourself as far as getting your work done on time and doing your work to your very best. Another person said, all the so-called secrets of success will not work unless you do. So really there are no secrets. The secret of success is working hard and doing your best. And if you do your best, then you will be successful. Study. I don't know if you had to study in high school. I remember when I was in high school that there were some classes I never had to study for, and that's probably the same for you. I don't know if you learned how to study when you were in high school either. Quite often, students have just gone through school, but they really haven't had to study for classes, or they haven't learned how to study for classes. So as a college student, it may be necessary for you to learn to study, and it will definitely be necessary for you to do so. Find a great place to study, a place that works best for you, where you can avoid distractions, where you won't be drawn to the television set, to conversation with friends, to Facebook or your telephone. There are great places in our university library for study. If you're living on campus, there are probably great places in your dorm to study as well. In your own home, you probably have better places to study than others. Take advantage of study resources like academic counseling and tutors. Check out ACE on the third floor of the Thayer Montgomery building. This is a place where you can sign up for academic counseling and for tutors. There are also tutoring centers in some of the academic buildings, so know where those are. Know where the writing clinic is and the math lab is. Know where the study room in Martin Hall is and Merrill Hall is. And if you're in one of those buildings, use those places to study. As a general rule of thumb, plan at least 2 to 3 hours of study time each week per semester hour. So if it's a 3-hour class, you should expect to study 6 to 9 hours. Now that may be more hours than you require for study for a particular class, but you don't ever want to scrimp on the hours that you set aside for that. Don't plan for a 40-hour work week, a 15-hour school week, a 6 or 8 hour extracurricular week, and no study hours. You'll need that time to study, so be sure you put that in your schedule. Henry David Thoreau said, if one advances confidently in the direction of his dreams and endeavors to live the life he has imagined, he will meet with a success unexpected in common hours. So live confidently in the idea that you will be successful this first semester, and work hard to meet that dream of the imagined success. Don't study all the time, though. You do want to get involved on campus. If you live on campus or if you live at home, involvement in campus activities is one of the best things you can do for yourself. Remember that your job right now is to be a college student, and that includes all aspects of involvement, whether it be student organizations, clubs, sororities, or fraternities. These involvements will be lifelong involvements for you, and they'll offer many things for you outside of just the fun of the activity. Networking at the university is very important. Many times through my career, I've looked back on college connections and called upon those college connections for a job opportunity, for an involvement in some sort of community service or organization as an adult that has helped me to become involved. Stay on campus between classes, and stay on campus on the weekends if you live on campus. Come back to campus from your home on the weekends if you live at home. Set aside some time for relaxation as well. It's a good idea to plan to study hard and play hard. Have a good time while you're in college. You will never regret that. John Rohn said discipline is the foundation on which all success is built. So be disciplined in your planning for class attendance, for studying after class, between classes, and for getting involved on campus. Be organized. We're going to talk a lot about this and how you can plan your calendar so that you know what's going to happen each day and what's going to happen each week so that you can best prepare. Read that syllabus when the teacher gives it to you and become an expert on the course requirements and the due dates in that class. Map out your tests and major assignments ahead of time, and do not be a procrastinator. Set deadlines and stick to them. And don't think about an assignment, especially a large assignment, as something that you don't have to do until the night before it's due. But instead, plan to get that finished a day or two in advance so that you have plenty of time to go over it and make sure you've done a great job. And also so that life doesn't get in the way and you don't end up failing to complete the assignment. Even on the springboard to success, you have to bounce a little. Zig Ziglar is one of my favorite speakers as far as positive attitudes and so forth. So know that it takes some effort. Everything takes some effort. And sometimes there will be roadblocks. And so you need to be prepared for those roadblocks and for that effort. I like this particular slide that these two gentlemen put in here because they named it Mama Said. And I'm the mama of 4 grown children who have all been college students. And these are some of the things I probably would have told my children as well. Make sure you take time to be healthy. Eat well and eat right. Don't take the quick, easy out of fast food or junk food, but instead plan carefully to eat balanced meals. Be sure you get enough sleep because sleep is a necessity for a healthy life. And try to avoid the stress that comes from things like missed classes, things like procrastinating, things like not planning well, because increased stress leads to increased illness, which leads to missed classes, which leads to increased stress, and it's this never-ending prophecy of doom. Be prepared to feel unprepared. There are going to be times when you feel overwhelmed. There are going to be times when you feel alone, but realize that you're not alone and that others are just as overwhelmed. And there are people here who are happy to help you. When you do feel ill, go to the Student Health Center. When you feel overwhelmed, go to the Counseling Services office. And when you have questions about whether or not your career path is the right one, seek help from Career Services. Conrad Hilton of the Hilton Hotels, who is an extremely successful businessman, said, "Achievement seems to be connected with action. Successful men and women keep moving. They make mistakes, but they don't quit." Plan for failure. Every one of us fails. It's what we do with that failure that matters. A little bit later on this semester, I'm going to share with you a video about the most famous failures and how those failures led to them becoming some of the most successful men and women that you will know. So here's your first activity. It's something that I want you to do outside of class. Take those due dates, take those syllabi, line them all up on your desk or wherever you're going to do your studying. Get your calendar, whatever calendar you use, whether it's the calendar in your email, the calendar in your cell phone or on your iPad or any personal device that you have, or if it's a paper calendar. Take that calendar and write down when your classes meet, when you have big assignments due, put the final exams in there and all of your tests in there. Other social activities. Are you going to pledge a sorority or a fraternity? Are you in freshman forum? Are you part of an organization back home? Do you have a church activity that you participate in each week? All of these activities should be put on that calendar. Also, put in time for rest and relaxation, for study time, and for the other events that are important to you. Don't forget meal times and exercise. Put all of that in that calendar and bring those calendars to class so that we can talk about how you're going to use your time this semester.